Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Last time I said it was going to be the final part. I was wrong. Anyway, today, it will probably be the final part. Because, yeah, we kind of have Gant on the ropes, but then he chose, to exercise his right to deny testimony. And so he left. So then we're deciding to call one final witness to take the stand. Miss Lana Skye. Hopefully she'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. Let's go. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana... If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. What if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Alright. Gant and the fabrication. Been alongside Gant for 2 years. No truth to this blackmail theory. Fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana, so that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? Found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself. Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted inside the wound, then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound? And then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others? I mean, both are actually good questions, so why'd you plant the knife? Why'd you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Very well, let's add this to the witness's testimony. The recent Miss Sky fabricated the knife. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in his body would be all the proof we needed. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that point... Oh my god, just so incorrect. Can't read right now. Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of this knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did. The only motivation was to get Dark convicted, had nothing to do with Emma. His body would be all the proof we needed. Can't really find anything on that, so I wonder if we can get the other statement, because, you know, it does make sense why she would want to make it look like, you know, everything was the other way around, that Dark was the attacker. So, alright. Yeah, that was a pointless question. I didn't have to ask that. What I should have asked was, why did she move the body? Because it wouldn't have mattered. Oh, but wait. It would have, but no. Because that's a really bad contradiction. Yeah, like, she's just... Her lies aren't making sense. Because, like, if Emma didn't accidentally kill Neil, she wouldn't have had to move the body. Unless she just means, like, moved the body underneath Dark? But, well, either way, let's just go with this. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? Here's where you deduced it was. By Chief Gant's desk. Okay, so yeah, she's doing this for me. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Sky moved the body. Pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar, you mean... Yes, that wretched jar Mr. Wright showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I thought it would be more expedient, to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed, but I have a feeling there is more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. Pieces of the jar shattered during the events threatened my plan. Give me a second here. Kids are outside making a lot of noise and I'm about to... They are literally just hitting a wooden stick with a hammer. What in the world? Alright. But yeah. Emma feels there's a contradiction here. Pieces of the jar is shattered during the events threatened my plan. I'm gonna press this too, just to buy me some time to think. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it, period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying. She did, so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it alone. Gotta get Lana to talk more. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Okay, yeah, I gotta think on this one a bit. Oh, I got it. It just came to me. Yeah, in other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. But it couldn't have been because Emma was written on the surface in blood. That means it was broken after the fact. And yep, see, that's why she was telling. Okay, yep, contradiction. Alright. Only motivation? No. Stop talking. No. See, I got you. Alright, you was slipping. And I don't appreciate that. And this is what happens when you slip up. You make mistakes. Alright, Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been useless. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. Ah. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony. Ooh, she's looking slightly perturbed. Jar and message in blood. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away this message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Alright, jar and message in blood. Let's just skip right to the... or cut right to the chase here. You notice blood chases in the blood, didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana, I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. Fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. The detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry my... Okay, yo. Like, at first I was being nice about the typos, but come on now, like... It was just happening so many times in this chapter, it's kind of ridiculous. Even I carry my bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything, I got every last piece. Okay. So you say that, but it was dark and you didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you'd do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. Why can't I read today? I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene? Yes, I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up. After we've gotten to the bottom of this incident. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I've finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. Can you share this with me, Phoenix? Okay. Time to think critically about this. Well, I didn't press on this, so let's see what she has to say about this. So the jar was already broken? It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case, but not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. Okay, so she claims the jar... She still claims the jar was already broken. Okay. But I mean... Why would he gather up the fragment? Like, no, it couldn't have been already broken. I mean... Do I present this again, though? Because this is where she faltered a bit. Like, what was the other possibility? Like, but... Or technically we could get her on this because she hadn't got them all. One was in Gant's locker. Or safe. Miss Skye, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you are unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. When the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Huh, can you believe that? That is sad, actually. Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that! There is no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant at the time he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Yeah, Judge is having a breakdown! Oh, snap! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Ah, crap. Damn it. I just love that, though. It would have been amazing if they even made it like just like his own custom animation just for this scene and this scene alone. That would have been like A+. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar. and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And here is the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Yes! I did it on my own! This is no time to quote Owen Hart, as great as he is, but no, this is no time to quote him. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Okay. Wow, Judge. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, maybe right after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time. Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Technically it's a lance, but okay. Emma and Dark were lying on unconscious on the floor nearby. Wait a minute. I just want to make sure I'm not being dumb here. Yeah, that's a lance. That's not a sword. Okay. Alright. Contradiction number one. Okay. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. Lance, okay? Lance. Strike number 2. My God, there's just so many contradictions. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword? Lance, you were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana says she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. In the book, Evidence Law? But why would it be in here? What kind of cover is that for an evidence law book? Like, are you serious, bro? What's this on the back? It's the seal of approval, and we're opening it, and oh. Oh. Hey, there's a picture here. Oh. Oh. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this. That's because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I rearranged the scene. I was picture inserted in the court record. Gasp! Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest, could that be? The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this? It's a handprint. That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. whose ever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma? Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Alright, actual crime scene. But first, I just hold it. Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant! What now? You want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined testimony. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be the risk the judge was talking about. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Yeah. I think I did a decent enough attempt at that sound effect. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone? So then, what's your excuse, Righto? Just taking a preemptive measure here. Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt? Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Well, I mean, it's a court of law. You can't lie, dog, man. Come on, man. Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence. Alright, the time's finally come to show it to them. Those prints have got to be the Chief's. Now then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Well, a piece of cloth was cut out. It has her handprint on it. That's a piece of leather clothing. Chekhov's leather. Yes, it most likely was cut from the victim's vest near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the sword. What? Whose fingerprints are on this? I'm sure Righto has checked, haven't you? Well, whose are they? They're Miss Sky's. Miss Emma Sky's. What? They're mine? So I really did do it. See? I told you it was conclusive. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. You really expect me to believe that? But give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Sky to Neil Marshall's death. No. It appears we have our killer. No. 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 Everything hinged on that point. In the end, Lana was found guilty. And that is the bad ending. Like, no matter how many points you still have left, like, even if you have no strikes, getting that one thing wrong will lead to the bad ending. Which is why I made that little save point right there. You know, I just wanted to show it off. But yeah, you're actually not supposed to show that because, you know, that evidence law thing that we got is twofold. Because, you know, like we had that picture in the back of it. That picture right there. But also, and like even Edgeworth sort of mentions it right there during that little ending scene, that we use this to tie Emma to the murder. But okay, like, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I mean, yeah, okay, we had the approval of Gumshoe to get that piece of evidence, true, but unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case in trial. Like, we don't know if it's relevant or not. Because it is a piece of clothing, like, yeah, or well, just a, you know, a strip of cloth, but we don't actually know where it's from. I mean, it could be from, you know, his vest, but we don't know that. Leather is leather. I mean, you know, I got a leather vest too. I don't, but I mean, I could. It could have come from mine. We don't know. I mean, yeah, you know, it looks intact there, but still, we don't really know. We don't really know. I mean, that handprint could have been left there from some other time. We just don't know. So, yeah, let's not present this. Let's not present Chekhov's cloth. And I'm also trying to be very careful so I don't accidentally choose the wrong thing. But, and yeah, like, that is a special, like, bad ending cutscene because there's no other, like, life or death choice in this game. Or at least I don't think there is. I could be wrong. But, yeah, like any other time, you know, you just run out of strikes and it's like, okay, yeah, you know what, you're done here. We find the defendant guilty, and Phoenix is like, in the end, I screwed up. And then that's it. This actually has some exposition, even with, you know, like, Gant just like, oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. I mean, what? You think that was in my safe? I mean, what? I've never seen that. Come on now. This is crazy. Shenanigans. Insanity, even. So, yeah. I ain't got nothing to show, dawg. Your Honor. I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie. Chief Gant? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut off for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the chief of police, concealing evidence? This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lana. If I'd made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip into the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. We rearranged the crime scene. I hid two pieces of evidence. I did this before Lana arrived at the scene. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I'm sure my plan will work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? Who do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hit the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate this message on this jar too? Huh. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Wright, cough it up already. I know you have it. Wrong buttons. At least I thought there was only one life or death choice. Maybe it actually was 2. No, wrong thing. But I think that's the only one that nets you the actual scene, and I think this will tell all. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe. Oh, I didn't have to do that safe then. Yes, I admitted I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Wright. You should have shown it then before it was too late. But when I showed it then, he said he never even had that in his safe. It's been a long battle, but the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Okay, yeah, they're giving me my strikes, so yeah, that was the only life or death decision. Alright then. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall is, in fact, not this. It's this. Mr. Edgeworth? Your opinion, please? I think Mr. Wright's humor has improved at the expense of his defense. Oh, crap. Really? Oh, dang. I was being all smart and everything. Okay, that's my fault. Okay. Come on, Mr. Wright. You remember that thing with the murderer's handprint on it, don't you? I was trying to be all slick and shit. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, fine. Let's present it then. I was trying to be all slick. But I mean, it kind of does, because it'll make sense later. It'll make sense later. That was kind of a spoiler. Let me verify this once more. Actually, since that's a spoiler, I'll just cut that. So, yeah, we're just coming into me having a strike because I kind of screwed up. Anyway, on the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. At last, you finally brought it into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that to be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could not have been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Wright had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person whom these fingerprints belong to are... Emma Skye. Why lie? It was Emma Skye. Emma Skye? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh. You're really something, Wright. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you, you monster! Miss Skye, you knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what can it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Give me a second here, because I'm confused too. Oh. I get it. Because if you look at that blood, you know, that vest was kind of covered. But why, oh why, is this so dry? And what exactly this is supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. Look at this photograph. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it. Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on the cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Skye? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. Then he broke the jar on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out the bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you prove that you're the actual murderer. No! It's finished. Objection? Heh. That was close, Wright. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Order, order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Uchi? Earlier, old Wright here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Wright? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Whew. Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, you admit to it, that you purposely hid and illegally concealed this piece of cloth. I did. Not. Certainly. I refused to present evidence at one point. So the evidence is illegal. Wow, that objection cut out on my Wiimote. Okay, what was up with that? No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Uchi, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't let him. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. I went over this. You saw it. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case in trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SO9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. Yeah, that's why it's really important to check evidence. Because had you not checked evidence law, like or actually read the pages of it, you wouldn't have had that second caveat. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. We verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes. No. It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. There's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you. Oh no, he's calm. Or he was just suffering from delayed Wind Waker Ganondorf syndrome. Seriously, if you're not aware of, like, just one of the closing scenes of that game, just Ganondorf laughing for, like, what, 3 straight minutes, it was so good, because, like, he just completely snapped at that point. Like, it's just so good. Like, I really do feel that's a powerful scene, where it's like your back's against the wall, you're just so done, where all you can do is just laugh. Because that's it. Everything was for naught. In one moment, it's all just gone. All your plans, all that planning, everything is gone. You can't even get mad. All you can do is just laugh it off. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department, trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my own chance to find the truth. Please, you gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he had to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? Can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He told me to open up the evidence room and take it out. It's not too late. I'll hand this to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a little panicked too. Had a bad feeling about it, but never knew it would come to this. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. It would only increase the amount of blood and you couldn't finish what you started. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I was wiping it up. I was worrying so much about the floor I didn't realize my mistake. Detective Gumshoe's bloody handprint. Technically that wasn't Gumshoe's bloody handprint, but I mean it was left on his lockers. Alright. I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. Had no business doing any of it. You put the body in my car. I'm sorry, well, you couldn't think of any other way to move the body. You broke the trunk, but what's the big deal? You pull down a lot more than us detectives. Yeah. Well, what does this have to do with anything? You're horrible. How'd you get Miss Sky involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I feel bad for having to do it. I couldn't sit around and pick and choose what to take. Well, you left the jar fragment in gloves. Yeah, it looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, what are you doing in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. Well, that's ominous. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. You see, if I listen carefully, I can hear it right now. The sound of a new beginning. Well, he's taking this in stride. I mean, 2 capital offenses there. I mean, okay. Cool. There are 2 things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, he doesn't even get a smile, okay. You suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. Right, he was about to resign over this crap. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job. Yeah, right, he's just playing it cool. This dude was more stressed out than Phoenix. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky? Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for those crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial is going on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty. Yay! Though she's still guilty for, everything else. I mean, there's that, conspiracy and being an accomplice to a murder twice. Well, the first time she was acting, well, no, that's still being an accomplice, and that got Dark convicted, so, yeah. I mean, Dark was still going to be convicted, he just wouldn't have had the death penalty, probably. There's that messed up American law system again, but alright, this is all, the court is adjourned. Also, TV acting up again. Alright. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. You see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. Owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope we're not interrupting anything. You kind of are. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Detective Gumshoe, hold it! What is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. To top it off, you called me here. Seeing how people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. Only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you're only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back, and now you have. Oh, Emma. Yeah, heartwarming scene and all that. Okay, yeah, we get it. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our path. And once we found our path, we can move on from our past mistakes toward a brighter future. I'm Jerry Springer, and those are my thoughts. We'll see you next time. Oh, wait, no, wrong thing. Okay. At least that's what I felt looking at those two sisters make up. Too bad Mia and Maya will never have a moment like that. That is actually very bleak. Okay. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. And I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right? Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. That angry face, though. Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Hold it! Oh, never mind. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't change my own mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth! Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. It's scary, but I've been thinking the same thing for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows, given enough time I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. That may be right, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Like, at first I thought, like, when I first did this, because this stuck with me because I was so mad about getting this wrong. But yeah, at first I thought it was this, the screwdriver, because it was like, Chekhov's screwdriver. Gant had Edgeworth take it back, and then Edgeworth gave it to us like, yeah, I don't even know why he gave this to me. Here you go, take it. I mean, what could it possibly mean? That's what I thought. But no, in actuality, it's the evidence list, because I had one half of it from Gant's desk, and Edgeworth had the other half. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth! If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth! What will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, what happened in this trial can either make or break you as a prosecutor. In the end, it's up to you. I know, it seems I owe you my thanks too, Wright? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be getting back too. Okay, I'll come visit you. It seems we both still have a lot to learn. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. That's the first book you ever bought? Really? 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 Scientific investigation? Really? Okay. I mean, first book I ever bought was like some little kid scholastic thing from the school, little like book thing. Like we would always, like back in grade school, get these like little things where it was like all these little books you could order from Scholastic. And yeah, that was one of like the first books I ever bought on my own. Unless I bought something when I was out with my parents one day, and I don't remember. If I want to get technical, I probably bought a coloring book as like my first book, but whatever. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. Well, technically, I mean, Lana's won't really begin until she's out of prison, but she won't be doing too much time. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. Why is Larry there? A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. See, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, yeah. You see, this right here is the one who will be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What you think, I could afford that with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Since we're all here, why don't we all go together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. There we go. And we're done. So we're getting some more credits, but this time with the fingerprint powder. Oh, I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. She's a coroner. I think Emma will be pleased. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Well, duh. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Well, that's nice. A coroner is going to take care of Emma for the time being. Okay. Yeah, just enjoy these credits again. They're all cool. Yikes. I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalize you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. Just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. It's not a good trait to have, but alright. I like these little character portraits we can create with the fingerprint dust. It's cool. Just preparing for the next one as we sit through more credits. I mean, I don't even remember. Oh, great, there's Meekins. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe. That you want to aim a little higher than that, dog. Seriously. But yeah, like I mean, I'm sure these credits are repeating from like the previous set, but I wonder if there's like some new ones to match the fact that this trial was created specifically for like the DS version of this game. Yeah, we need the Blue Badger. Like, yeah, of course, this needs to be here. You know, and that's still like a little contradiction in that. It broke again. But yeah, like that's still a contradiction because they were like, oh yeah, we came up with the Blue Badger this year, even though we had seen the plush sitting next to like the director's desk or whatever. This a-hole. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this in to me. She's seen... Okay, well... Oh, she's seen one of the guards. Well, Cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? No. I don't like you, Marshall. I really don't. And why was he admitting to Star sneaking in a lunch for him? It's like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. Haha. It's a hot seller around exam time. Haha. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. What? Oh, start with the sweet side and end with the bitter? How would you even do that? What, just flip it out on the plate and then eat it? Oh, okay. We're just sitting through a little more credit. Judgy! Oh, I'm sorry, Udgy. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. How did he become a judge? How? How, Sway? How? But alright. Just sitting through a few more credits here. I think we're almost done. Maybe. I don't want to go into thoughts. Oh, there she is! Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing Nick and his objections. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Maya, afternoon training is about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. I forgot she was a character in this game. I mean, Emma was like a suitable replacement. Actually, Emma was a more useful replacement. That's kind of sad. Well, whatever. Well, no, Maya did hold on to that piece of evidence that MVK tried to steal. Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth. I brought you your tea. What's going on? What is going on, Edgeworth? But alright, just sitting through some more here. Okay. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Well, let's open this book. Oh, well, isn't that nice? Also, that police hat, I'm just now really looking at it. Isn't that like a British officer's cap? Okay, well, fine, whatever. So yeah, that's the game. I like it. It's a fun little visual novel, court case thingamathing. And since we were doing this for all the other ones, let's take a look at that. Oh, we can't. So it doesn't have official art. I guess it doesn't have official art. Okay, I'm actually disappointed by that then. Alright then, so yeah, all in all, it's a good game. I enjoyed it. Really got caught up in the stories. I will admit though, like I do consider myself a fan of the series now, despite only ever having played this game. I do know some things that happen in the later games, like not so much spoilers, like for the actual trials themselves, but just certain characters and like which ones actually do come back and like just other different characters that might show up. So I am aware about that, but otherwise I don't know anything about the remaining games. And I figure, you know what, I might as well just go ahead and do them for the channel. The actual plan was to start up Phoenix Wright 2 immediately after this. I believe it's called Justice for All. But yeah, I figure, you know what, it probably would be best to space them out. Sort of like what I did with the Crash games. I tried to space those out as best as I could. So yeah, next time, or well, actually next year, around the time I started this game, I'll start up the second Phoenix Wright game and do that completely blind. So yeah, like it'll just be a better experience than this. I mean, granted, I have fun LP in this game, but I don't know, some of the magic is just gone where you kind of know where everything is going. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed the stories and like seeing them again and just thinking back to when I first experienced them, because I was addicted to this game. Like this and Danganronpa, I would just stay up to like 3 or 4 a.m. just playing it because it was like, I have to see where this is going. So yeah, I look forward to LPing Justice for All blind next year, though it's going to be rough to wait until next year, because like me even just holding off playing that game until now has been kind of rough. But who knows, I might just actually buy it this year and then just record all the episodes and wait to release them until next year. We'll see. But yeah, overall I enjoyed this game. It's a fun little visual novel game. Can't wait to see how the second game improves on everything from the story to other mechanics they might add. And just, you know, other things in general, because, you know, this game also goes into like, well, Edgeworth has his own little spin-off series. And then there's just like other things, like I know one game in particular actually goes sort of back in time, where you can sort of like see where some of these other characters got their starts with the, you know, whole, you know, police force and prosecuting office and defense offices. So yeah, it's going to be like really neat just to see all of that play out. But yeah, okay, I'm rambling now. We're done here. Hope you all enjoyed this LP, and I will see you next time with something else. Goodbye.